Tonight, I will be reacting to Geography Now Switzerland. I'm going to learn more about Switzerland, this tiny country next to mine. I'm Italian, so this is gonna be super interesting. Let me know down in the comments if you come from Switzerland, which part, the Italian speaking part, the French speaking part, or the German speaking part, or I forgot the other one. It's Romansh or something like that. Yeah, I apologize. But yeah, I mean, I love Switzerland. I feel like it's one of those places that most likely I will be spending the rest of my life living there. You know, you never know. You never know. I mean, that's my dream, to be honest. Let me just get right here. Be present so we can begin the video.
All right, we have now reached Switzerland. Alps, cheese, neutrality, banks. Well, Switzerland didn't start off that way. It was basically a bunch of mountain folk that built an entire economy off of what are essentially European ninjas. And now if shit goes down, they have a bunch of bunkers they can hide in case of nuclear war happens.
Shit.
But we'll get into that later. In the meantime, here's the intro song.
It's time to learn geography.
Everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Get your Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. It's not selling out if it's your brand. In any case, Switzerland, the crossroads of the Germanic and Latin worlds. Known as the Confederation Helvetica, despite not actually being a confederation. Named after the...
Oh, I'm so stupid. I never know what the CH standard for Confederation Helvetica. Okay, now I know.
Helveti tribe, which were actually Celtic.
We should hang out sometime.
That were mostly wiped out and driven away by the Latins and Germanic peoples.
Oh, well, okay.
But anyway, so I actually promised my Swiss friend Herman that he could be in this episode with me, and I wanted to fly him out here to Los Angeles to co-host. Unfortunately, at the time of filming this episode, the US had restrictions on Europeans entering our country, and the actual date of acceptance for Europeans to enter would take way too long.
Wait, when was this film? 3 years ago. Oh, that was during COVID. Okay. I was thinking like maybe Donald Trump stuff, but no.
So I decided
COVID.
If I can't fly him out here, why don't I just fly out there and make a makeshift Geography Now studio set and have him in the
That's
episode.
so cool.
Here I go.
That is awesome.
Oh, made it. And guys, say hi to Mr. Herman.
Hello, nice to meet you.
He even drives in neutral. Bro, okay, let me get here. Bro. Bro, I can't with this dad jokes. He's the best.
Switzerland, yeah. Again, I'm super short, so I gotta step on a box. What does it mean to you, Herman, to be Swiss?
There's of course the whole cheese and chocolate thing. For me, to be honest, we are quite grateful that we live in this nice country, which is just safe, stable, and it has been like this for a long time.
By the way, guys, this is the guy that was in my heritage trip video. This is my Swiss go-to guy. You're an expert on Switzerland, right?
Sure.
All right, and with that, let's move on. Let's find Switzerland on the map, shall we?
Oh my god, this is
So
new.
Switzerland is kind of a unique place in Europe, mostly because of the way how it was formed.
You see, most countries had a king, but Switzerland didn't. It was just a bunch of annoyed mountain folk who didn't want to align with any king and became independent.
Now, there's a lot of disagreement on exactly how Switzerland was formed. Some people say maybe it was the medieval times. Some people say it was the more modern Napoleonic Wars.
So technically the earliest form of Switzerland was after the Rütli-Schwur. Uri, Schwyz and Unterwalden agreed to have an alliance.
It was basically like,
Hey, Schwyz, how's it going?
Hey man, this army just came in and attacked me for no reason.
No way, me too.
Are we talking about the armies coming through without our permission?
Yes! Oh my god, so annoying.
You know what we should do? We should form
A confederation.
a confederation.
A
yes.
confederation.
Let's do it.
Like, let's form a confederation.
Together?
then later it was like,
Hey, can we join, please?
Can I join too?
Just like,
I don't speak the language, but we'd like to join.
This gives me an idea. Maybe I should expand.
the point is, Switzerland started to grow.
And today you have the Switzerland you see before you locked away safely in the Alps.
Let's go to the map now, shall we?
First of all, Switzerland is a landlocked nation located at the convergence point of Western, Central, and Southern Europe, surrounded by 5 countries. Remember, don't forget little Liechtenstein! The country is a federal republic made up of 26 cantons, each with their own unique flag and coat of arms. However, keep in mind, 6 of these
Wait, let me see that again.
made up of 26 cantons.
Oh, so that's the Ticino region. That's the one where Italian is being spoken, right? And everything else is basically, yeah, this is the part where French is being spoken. I'm gonna stop trying to guess. Let's just let him talk.
Each with their own unique flag and coat of arms. However, keep in mind, 6 of these cantons are considered traditional half cantons, which means they are grouped into 3 pairs that share a councillor in their government. In order to maintain a somewhat decentralized government system that keeps cantons happy, technically Switzerland has no official capital, as stated by their constitution, but
it's Bern, right?
Bern is considered the de facto capital, as it holds the House of Parliament and other federal authorities. The country's largest city, though, would be Zurich, located in the northeastern part of the country. It also hosts the largest and busiest airport,
so
Zurich
beautiful.
International. And from there, the next largest cities are Geneva and Basel, which also carry respectively the second and third busiest airports as well. In fact, about...
Oh my god, I need to visit more of Switzerland. I've only actually been to Lugano and Mendrisio. Oh my god. By the way, the best singer of all times is from Mendrisio, Paolo Meneguzzi. If you object, you don't know anything about music.
75% of the population actually lives in the North Swiss plateau, even though it only makes up about 30% of the land's surface. Speaking of which...
And of course, Mattak and Elea, if you are into hip-hop, Italian hip-hop.
The only ambiguous dispute
Gazel
they have
Maxi
is
B.
with Germany and Austria over the Bodensee, or Lake Constance. The 3 countries have never formally established borders, and they kind of just don't say anything. In any case, Switzerland also has some other unique border anomalies. For one, by Schaffhausen, Switzerland tried to grab as much land as they could north of the Rhine River, leaving a unique layout of territory grabs that jut into Germany, and it even leaves one exclave of Germany entirely within Switzerland, Usingen am Hochrhein. Head down south to the Ticino canton, and you have the Campione d'Italia, which is basically one big casino resort. It is an exclave.
Is it still there, the Campione d'Italia? I'm not too sure, right? I went before to the casino in Mendrisio. I forgot the name. I think Campione d'Italia, the one in Lugano, closed.
Of Italy
I'm not
completely
mistaken.
engulfed within Switzerland, only about a half mile or less than 1 kilometer over a hill away from Italy. Finally, if you go up to Basel, you have some very weird skinny land salients that jut into France for no logical reason, like this one by the town of Rieti, which at its narrowest choke point is less than 230 feet or 70 meters wide. Transport in Switzerland is top-notch though. Well-paved highways, tunnels, and train networks connect every region of Switzerland. The biggest and most proud
So cool.
engineering project that the country has ever gone through though would probably be the Gotthard Base Tunnel. It is the longest rail tunnel and deepest traffic tunnel.
Wait, what? I had no idea you guys have this, bro. This is crazy. What the hell? What is that?
In the world, effectively cutting through the Alps, connecting the canton of Uri
That's
with
so
Ticino. This tunnel has
cool.
heavily bolstered the efficiency of Switzerland's freight and passenger transport, as about 11,000 people and about 70,000 tons of cargo are able to swiftly pass by daily.
Fun fact,
Well,
because
that's
of Herman,
amazing.
me and my mom actually got to go see Liechtenstein. He drove us
Oh.
all the way from Zurich, all the way through Liechtenstein in Austria, and we ended up in Lindau, Germany, where we met the worst waiter ever at a casino restaurant.
I remember, this guy was horrible. In Switzerland, public transport is really good. You can get almost anywhere by train. That's the Jungfrau-Joch-Bahn, which brings you above 3,500 meters.
But that's kind of like more of a touristy thing, right?
Yeah, that's a tour. I've never been there.
Speaking of trains, you said something about like they donate the old ones, right?
Yeah, actually trams. The trams of Zurich are going to Ukraine, and the trams from
Oh.
Basel are going to Belgrade.
The interesting thing is that historically, some places that are actually outside of modern-day Switzerland used to be protectorates or associates of Switzerland.
They are Mulhouse, which lies in today's France, Rottweil in Germany, Valtellina and Bormio, which today lie in Italy. Even though the Austrian state of Vorarlberg once voted to become part of Switzerland in World War I, we decided to better not take them in.
You rejected them. Now, another thing about Switzerland you have to understand is that they kind of have like 2 imaginary lines based off of the cultural regions. You can explain. What are they, Herman?
Well, there's the Röstigraben, separating the French-speaking part of Switzerland from the German. And then there's the Polentagraben, which is between the German part and the south, which speaks Italian.
Basically, one side drinks beer, the other...
What the fuck, the polenta gramen? That's why they call us in the north. The people from the south of Italy call us the polentoni. That's why, because we graben, we take the polenta.
Due to their history of constantly being
I love
invaded,
that.
or outside forces threatening or just generally bothering them, the Swiss have developed a culture of, let's just kind of call it heavy defensive caution.
We are neutral, but we still are prepared to defend ourselves to make it as expensive as possible for anybody to attack us.
This is why, should the event ever disaster occur, the country is loaded with copious amounts of bunkers.
Yeah, I saw a video
everywhere.
before
Like,
of
it's
that.
actually a law. All living units have to have a bunker or something like that, right? Yeah.
We have a lot of hidden bunkers, and if you go hiking, you will just see them, but they're nowhere on the map.
There's no exact number on how
That's
many
so
are
cool.
built, but apparently they can protect the entire population plus more, right? I think.
The question is for how long, right?
In any case, Switzerland has so many notable cool sites to see and visit. We actually filmed this part before I could audition anybody to do it, so I'll just fill this in with a dubbed voiceover. Here's
Alex.
Hey guys, I'm Alex. I'm from Geneva, Switzerland, although I'm currently in Mexico. Here's a few things you should absolutely check out if you ever make it to Switzerland. Check out the Jet d'Eau Fountain, the Cathedral St. Pierre, Palais des Nations, which is home of the United Nations, and the Sun Hydroglide castles. Check out the Chateau de Chillon, the
Bro, it's so beautiful.
Valais and Tourbillon.
Oh my god, I feel like I could just make a video about the castles. It would be like an hour long, right?
Chateau de Gruyère, Bunhausen, which is basically a capital. Check out the Bear Park, Kinderfressenbrunnen statue, Lauterbrunnen, that has over.
Wait, what the fuck? Is that a statue eating kids?
Check out the Bear Park,
What? What the hell is this statue? That's fantastic. What the hell?
Kinderfressenbrunnen statue, Lauterbrunnen, that has over 70 waterfalls.
That's
The Lake
amazing.
Lucerne has the Lion Monument and the Chapel Bridge with 347 ski resorts covering a distance of
Wow.
4,500 miles. Zermatt,
Zermatt, yes.
And my personal favorite, Verbier. For more Mediterranean feels, check out the Old Town Piazzas and beautiful lakes.
I love
of
Lugano.
Lugano down in the south of Switzerland. Switzerland also has a bunch of museums and amusement parks. So for that, check out Aqua Park, Coneyland, Swiss Vapor Park, and the Geiger Museum, which is absolutely amazing. And if you're looking for an adrenaline rush, check out the mountain coasters, also toboggan, as well as the Stoßbahn funicular, which is the steepest funicular in the world. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day.
thank you.
Alex.
You're always going underground for whatever reason,
Yeah, if you have a mountain in between two places, what are you gonna do?
which is actually the perfect transition into the next segment.
Now, of course, you cannot talk about Switzerland without talking about the mountains and nature.
Literally the moment you say Switzerland, obviously images of like snow-capped mountains and valleys and cows with cowbells, and even the iconic Matterhorn probably comes up, although 12
Especially purple cows, right?
people usually die on it, but yeah, it's still very beautiful.
It's a challenge. So let's go to the map and break down Switzerland's land makeup.
Now, despite Switzerland being famous for the Alps and being the most mountainous country in Europe, the actual Alps only make up about 60% of the country. The remainder of the country is made up of two other
You're telling me
geographic
only.
zones: the Swiss, or Central Plateau, which is the lowest part of the country and where most of the agriculture and livestock raising is concentrated, and the Jura Mountains in the northwest on the border with France. Of course, in the Alps, you can find, shocker, the tallest peak, Dufourspitze, just on the border with Italy. No, the famous, incredibly difficult to climb Matterhorn just a few miles away is not the tallest peak. It just looks really cool. That's all. Just a skip away, you find the Aletsch Glacier, the largest glacier in the Alps, and it is a UNESCO heritage site. From the
so
ice melt
cool.
of the Alps, of course, you get the source of all the rivers that feed Switzerland, including the longest river, the Rhine, which shares borders with its neighbors. However, the longest river fully in Switzerland, not shared, would be the Aare, or Aare
yes.
River. Of course, these rivers also feed
It's always in the crosswords here in Italy, the Aare River.
into the world-renowned lakes of Switzerland, the largest one being Lake Geneva, or Lac Léman, in which Switzerland was
Lac
like
Léman.
very set on making sure they hooked around the end with Geneva and got most of it when splitting it with France. Nonetheless, the largest lake fully in Switzerland is Neuchâtel, not to be confused with Neuchâtel in Normandy, France, which is where the soft cheese comes from.
Yeah, and those highlights don't
Oh,
even cover
I
a
thought my
fraction of all the cool
computer-
nature stuff in Switzerland.
You can hike, then at the end you arrive at the lake, and it's perfect.
Is it like fresh enough for you to drink from, or no?
You could maybe, but guy might have peed in it 5 minutes ago.
Ah, yeah.
Well, Switzerland sure is beautiful, but when it comes to natural resources, we're actually not so rich. We don't really have any. Much of our economy is actually based on industry and services.
To explain a little bit more about the economy and industrial output, here's Noah to explain.
All right, let's get to it. So we all know high-end things like luxury Swiss watches and Swiss knives are made in Switzerland, which are, by the way, a multi-billion-dollar industry. By the way, if you're looking for a backpack,
God.
Swiss gear is amazing. I've had one of those backpacks for probably over a decade. Great stuff.
Good backpacks, man.
But the one industry that everyone takes focus on, even though it only makes up about 15% of their economy, is the Swiss banking system. Home to two world-renowned companies, UBS and Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse being founded by Alfred Escher. Look him up. The appeal is that Swiss banks offer an insane amount of privacy and confidentiality. To explain more about the bank situation, here's Swiss geography Simon.
Grüezi miteinander. Hello, I am Simon and I'm actually from Switzerland.
What part of Switzerland?
Bodensee.
Whoa!
See, back in 1713, Switzerland's Great Council decided they would outlaw the financial disclosure to Europe's financial elites. In addition, all forms of bribery were pretty much criminalized. Since 1934, it was made criminal to disclose the identity of any account holders, as long as they didn't have any extreme felony charges. Even though the interest rates are really low, sometimes the rate is even negative, which means you have to pay to hold Swiss francs or to open an account. Nonetheless, our rate of investments are pretty high, like at 2.5%, due to the regular stability of the Swiss economy. Granted, there was some controversy, as there have been many lawsuits brought against our beautiful banks, such as the 1996 Holocaust victim class action lawsuit, which claimed that Swiss banks knowingly concealed assets illegally acquired by the Nazis. Then again, in 2009, the US strong-armed Switzerland into, disclosing wealthy assets from 50,000 Americans. It worked, but now, Swiss banks don't accept any Americans or even Swiss people who move to America or who make a vacation in Florida. If you'd like to open an account, just contact me on Instagram and it will be totally confidential. Thank you very much. Adieu miteinander. Au revoir.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, with great banks comes great liabilities. But of course, Switzerland is more than just banks. They have thriving pharmaceutical, tech, and tourism sectors. The palate is getting dry.
Is that a Swiss bottle too?
That'd be pretty cool if it was. They take their agriculture industry very seriously. The government actually subsidizes 70% of farms. I mean, how can you say no to the wonderful dairy provided by Swiss cows? To explain more about the animal situation, here is Gary Harlow.
Hey guys, Caleb's actually busy. He couldn't do this segment, but we got Ian. So you're gonna be Gary Harlow today. You're probably gonna mess it up, but I don't care.
Found a
I'm a screw
seashell.
up for sure. Switzerland, being the alpine nation it is, provides quite the habitat for all kinds of strange species. The country has 18 official nature parks. Now in these mountains you have quite a many of mountain adapted ungulates. Much noted are the ibex and the chamois. Thanks to their two-toed hooves, these little guys latch on to the narrowest of walls. And this makes you think, are they brave or are they just stupid? I ask myself that a lot. Unfortunately, most of the predators, like the gray wolf and the Eurasian lynx, are incredibly rare. Brown bears were actually hunted to extinction in 1904. Now, one species of predator that does thrive in Switzerland is the European asp. It's a viper, and it's well adapted to the high altitudes. Now, the bite's extremely painful. Now, unlike most countries, Switzerland doesn't have a national animal. But if you ask around, you might find out that the unofficial Swiss animal is the iconic Swiss cow. Even though they're not naturally from these here mountains. All right, well, that's it for me, fellas.
This is terrible.
I'm sorry, Hannah, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Ian. Anyway, we've discussed much of the industry, economy, and physical makeup. That means there's only one more part left. Food! Now, I love doing this.
Yes!
But I gracefully step down and let an actual Swiss geography take over.
Hello, we are Mauro and Terence, and today we are going to talk about Swiss food.
We have to talk about cheese, of course. Thousands of varieties of them.
Probably also know the popular dishes, fondue and raclette.
But I don't like, you're gonna kill me when I say this, but I'm not a fan of Emmental cheese, the cheese with the holes. I don't know why I'm explaining which kind of cheese it is. Of course you know it, but yeah, I'm not a fan of it. It's too sweet. I'm not such a fan of it. I prefer seasoned cheese.
Rösti, which is like a hash brown, Alpenmakrone, Zürich Schnetzlets, Berner Platte, Carpe Vaudois,
so good.
de Windsel.
Dirchenmüsli.
And desserts, Basler Leckerli, Bündner Nusstorte, Zuckerkirschtorte.
Vermicelle.
And of course...
Is that like a dessert of pasta?
Zuckerkirschtorte.
Vermicelle.
What does it taste like? That's so weird. I'm getting hungry though, see.
And of course, chocolate.
Yeah, although...
Well, let me see how many are...
Vermicelle.
And of course, chocolate.
The Toblerone, it's good, but I don't know. This shape, is always fucking up my teeth every time. Ah, my God. What is the best chocolate from Switzerland? I love Lindor. I'm sure there are better ones, right? That I never tried and maybe are expensive as fuck.
Yeah, although we don't have cocoa trees here.
We also invented absinthe.
Which
I
is a
don't
super
like
strong
that.
alcohol
I
and
don't
gives
like
you
that.
hallucinations. Then there is also another soft drink called Rivella.
And finally, in every Swiss kitchen, mochi and automat.
Bro, why are they not mentioning the Swiss beer they got in Lidl? I think that should be worth a mention. It's quite a good beer. It's just like 50 cents here in Italy.
Like a mini automat Dösli in a Swiss person's hiking backpack.
That's it.
Man, I gotta try some of those desserts you mentioned. All right, Barbs, back to you.
Thank you, Noah.
Also, fun fact, because Switzerland is so expensive, we actually like to go shopping in other countries, just because it's cheap. There are some laws what you can bring back, like 1 kilogram of meat, 5 liters of wine, or 1 liter of strong liquor, and 1 kilogram of butter.
They actually check at the border when you drive through?
Yes.
But I mean, you guys do have...
Yes, I remember my friend told me this when he was living in Como.
Good stuff. I mean, you're well known for your cheese and chocolate.
We put it on everything. You bake something in the oven, put some cheese on it. You're having sushi, why not put some raclette? Yeah, food always brings people together.
Except for that one time in Lindau with that waiter, I swear.
Seriously, dude. 4 years later and you're still traumatized.
Yes, I'm still pissed off. Anyway, let's move on.
Demographics.
Switzerland, as we already explained, has a lot of cantons. And there's actually kind of a word you guys have in Switzerland. Explain, Herman.
It's Eidgenossenschaft.
What does it mean?
An oath alliance came along and formed a nation, except for Ticino, which we conquered.
Despite the fact that each of the region kind of has their own canton cultural difference, at the end of the day, they are all Swiss. Here's how you break down the populace.
First of all, the country has about 8.5 million people and often ranks in the top 3 global competitive markets and Human Development Index scores on Earth. Ethnically speaking, things get a little complicated because Swiss censuses only take in data from factors like citizenship and place of birth. So the specific details can be a little vague, but in the broadest sense, it will say that about 75% of the country are Swiss nationals and the remaining 25% are resident foreigners, one of the highest proportions in the developed world.
Yeah, that's
From here,
a lot.
things get a little overlappy because within both groups, everything breaks down linguistically as well. Often, Switzerland will refer to their linguistic groups for data rather than ethnic, in which case about 63% of the country are primarily German-speaking Swiss, 23% are primarily French-speaking, and somewhere around 8 to 9% are primarily Italian-speaking. Finally, less than 1% are Romansh.
Oh, Romansh!
Keep in mind, this data can apply to anyone from...
Wait, so I know that the German that is being spoken in Switzerland is nothing like the actual German being spoken in Germany. What about the French-speaking French from Switzerland? Is it very different from French that is being spoken in other French-speaking countries? I said speaking so many times. I know that Italian-speaking just sounds like people from Milan, you know, there's literally no difference. I cannot tell the difference. But yeah, I'm really curious about that. And I want to hear Romansh being spoken sometimes.
Anywhere that claims these languages as primaries, regardless of their ethnic background. What we do know, though, is that of the 25% foreign residents, about 64% of them are from the EU or EFTA countries, the largest being Italians, followed by Germans and Portuguese and French. There's a sizable Kosovar Albanian community, and of the Asian community, Sri Lankans, mostly of Tamil descent, make up the largest demographic.
The Swiss franc is our currency and we drive on the right.
Wait, what?
Mostly of Tamil descent, make up the largest demographic.
The Swiss franc.
Bro, whenever I went to Switzerland, I always paid with my card, so I've never seen actual Swiss francs. This must be the coolest money I've ever seen. What the hell? Bro, it looks so beautiful and colorful.
Is our currency and we drive on the right side of the road.
And you guys use the J plug outlet, which I hate because there's like an inward diamond-shaped divot and my C plug adapter.
It's different.
Why do you guys are trying to do everything to be different from the rest of Europe? It's so weird.
Well, sometimes you introduce a standard before the rest of Europe and then it's too late. In Switzerland, the dishwashers used to be 55 centimeters and then Europe introduced a new standard of 60 centimeters. But the problem is it costs more to manufacture in a special size, so our dishwashers cost 3 times as much. Yay!
Anyway, Switzerland has 4 official languages: Swiss German, Swiss French, Swiss Italian, and Romansh. Even though less than 1% of the country speaks it, it's...
Is it even a thing, Swiss Italian? I don't know. I really cannot tell the difference if I have to be honest. But if anyone is please hit me up on Instagram and tell me how stupid I am by listing all the differences between Swiss Italian and Italian in general or any other regional accent of Italy.
An official language. It's actually pretty closely related to Vulgar Latin, which was spoken in the Roman Empire, and it's also a cousin of Romanian.
So most of us
know that's why Romansh.
Somehow.
What is the difference between Swiss German and Hochdeutsch spoken in Germany?
So Swiss German is a very strong dialect. We have dropped, for example, the simple past tense, and the Germans don't really understand us.
Don't even get started with French Swiss as well, although I do
different,
like how they use the 90 and 80 and 70, 80 and 90.
99.
And don't even get
Really? Oh my god, I'm learning French, so this is so weird. I want to hear some Swiss
started
French.
with Ticino Italian. In fact, you know what? Matteo can explain it.
Here you go. This guy can explain.
So Ticino Swiss sounds very much like Northern Lombard.
That's what I told you. That's what I told you. To me, it's basically the accent that they have in Milan.
You can't tell if it's a Swiss or not just by the pronunciation, but the Swiss have some specific word that give them up. For example, they say Natel instead of mobile phone, or they say lift instead of ascensore for saying lift. Except for this, it's just usual Northern Italian speak.
Anyway, regardless of the linguistic background, they are not French Swiss or German Swiss or Italians. They're all just Swiss. For what it's worth, though, there's so much backstory with Switzerland.
For example, the Habsburg family, which ruled the Austrian-Hungarian Empire for centuries, was from Habsburg in Aargau, Switzerland. But they lost with their knights against the Swiss peasants in the Battle of Morgarten.
See, this is kind of the interesting contrast to the otherwise neutral, peaceful image of Switzerland comes in. The brutal fighting skill of the Swiss was so well renowned throughout Europe that it actually kind of became like their biggest export.
All the rulers in Europe got Swiss mercenaries, and in the end it might be a French king fighting an Italian army, and in the end it's Swiss fighting Swiss.
I mean, even nowadays, the Pope in the Vatican has a Swiss guard.
So weird.
And then they actually decided to stop having offensive war and introduced this neutrality.
Nonetheless, you know, their neutrality has always been kind of pressured throughout the years, and it's been kind of pushed. Explain a little bit more, Herman.
In neutrality, you also have to treat both sides of the war similar. For example, you could not trade with any of them, but we didn't do that because we didn't want to get invaded by Germany. So we traded with Germany, we traded some with the Allies. In the historic context of being surrounded by the Axis powers, well, you had to stay neutral. Yeah. You had to do what you had to do.
How do you deal with all this pressure trying to be neutral when the whole world is not neutral and you're surrounded by everybody? It's a tough question. But for what it's worth, Switzerland has known that neutrality has always kind of come at a cost. And this is one of the reasons why Switzerland is a conscription country.
You go to military after you're 19, once for half a year, and then every year a couple of weeks, 3 or 4, until you're 30 or 31. There's a disclaimer though, there are some exceptions. The Swiss military has some quotas of how many people they want. If you have some health issues, you don't have to go to the military, but you will be paying 3% of your salary to the army. And if you have ethical reasons not to go, you can also fill out a form, apply to not go to the military, but you will have to take 1.5 times as much time in something called civil service, maybe, where you do some projects for the good of the country.
So at the end of the day, somehow you have to serve Switzerland.
Yeah, and after the military service, you usually take the gun home.
Technically, Switzerland has one of the highest gun ownership populations in the world. This all kind of plays into their unique system of government. It's often said that Switzerland is in an eternal election campaign.
So we vote 3 to 4 times a year, and we also vote regional for people to get into the National Council.
So it's kind of like Switzerland focuses more on policies rather than politicians. Would you say? A little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
But it's like you're very involved in everything.
Yes, we are involved, and if we don't like something, there will be a referendum.
But in Switzerland, it's relatively easy.
Yeah. Some cantons have different voting systems, like voting publicly by raising hand or some weird family sort.
The head of state of Switzerland.
Wait, what? Raising your hand? What is that? Athens 3,000 years ago? Are you kidding me?
Actually, though, is the federal council.
And one of them is the president, but it doesn't really matter because it changes every year, and he's just one among equals.
Fun fact!
I need to watch a video explaining the politics in Switzerland. It's so confusing.
Switzerland can actually deny citizenship to anybody who wants to apply for it. In fact, in 2010, there was one lady who was denied because her neighbors said she was annoying.
There's a lot of those stories, like somebody not knowing where the baker is in the village because she shops in a big store. No passport for you.
In regards to religion, like most countries countries in Europe, most of the people will at least culturally identify with Christianity, and in Switzerland, the case is mostly with Catholicism or Protestantism.
It used to be very important. My grandma told me her parents would not have accepted her bringing home a Catholic, but nowadays we don't really care anymore.
Now, of course, this is one source that played a role in many of the regional differences throughout Switzerland, and they also kind of have like a healthy level of regional competition. And with that, let's move on to the sports part with art.
So, sports in Switzerland go hand in hand, even on the corporate side. In fact, because of the tax laws, many European and international sports federations hold their headquarters in Switzerland.
Let's not talk about this, okay? I'm wearing a Juventus hat, and I don't want to talk about this, okay?
Switzerland. Domestically, Switzerland has some sports that they actually invented, such as Schwingen, which is played in sawdust, and the contenders wear burlap shorts. There's also Hornissen. It's a team sport. It's kind of like a mix between golf and baseball. In any case, when you live in a country with big snowy mountains, you're going to get an emphasis on, this is, I know, a total shocker, on winter sports. Skiing and mountaineering are pretty much taught from adolescence. Switzerland also invented competitive sledding. They invented the first bobsled and bobsled track in St. Moritz. Switzerland has done pretty well considering their size in both the Summer and Winter Olympics. Alpine skiing being their strongest event with 22 gold medals. On another note, auto racing was actually banned in Switzerland. They had a huge crash in 1955 that stopped it all. But the government made a little loophole exception for electric racing. And finally, we cannot end this segment without mentioning the most popular athlete. I know him. Roger Federer. He's part of the Big Three. 20 Grand Slam singles title winner, 103 ATP singles titles, two-time Olympic medalist. He has streets named after him, coins with his face. He's a model for Rolex and numerous brands. There's a lot of babies out there named after him for sure. I once got a trophy for potato sack racing, and it was a big deal. Like, my mom was proud of me. And I do not know how to end my segment, so
the Swiss people have shown that even though they're a small country, they still can pack a punch with the competitive side.
And we have this thing called Kantönligeist, where each canton really has their own rules and does their own thing.
To explain a little bit more about the culture and how things kind of go out in that way for Switzerland, here's Random Hannah with culture stuff.
Hi guys, I'm back. And remember, you can get a Random Hannah shirt at geographynow.com. The culture of Switzerland cannot be easily summarized as a nation. That's because it breaks down to each canton having its distinct identity. There are lots of stereotypes for them, but here are some that you guys told us. Aargau is known for having bad drivers. Valais has the most incomprehensible accent, while Graubünden has the most beautiful one. Glarus doesn't exist. Zurich has a superiority complex, and Geneva is just the French version of Zurich. Appenzell is known for hippies and alternative medicine. Funny enough, Inner Appenzell didn't give women the right to vote until 1991, and the country as a whole till 1971. In fact, Switzerland is known for having many interesting laws. For example, if you live in an apartment, you are not allowed to make distracting noises after 10 p.m. You're not allowed to cut your grass, hang your laundry, or do...
Isn't that basically everywhere in Europe? It's just that people don't give a fuck about it.
noisy chores on Sunday. The Swiss really seem to value their silence. The Swiss are known for their many discoveries and inventions as well, such as cellophane and aluminum foil, Velcro, the vegetable peeler, the discovery of nucleic acid and DNA, and they were co-creators of the World Wide Web. Notable contemporary icons of Swiss culture include figures like Globy, Papa Mole, Schellen Orsli, and the most famous one worldwide, Heidi. They are notable for
Ti sorridono i monti, Heidi. I swear it's my first beer.
visual art in every field. You can find it in everything like Basel, with its 13th century Romanesque architecture, to the early 20th century Dada movement. Even Helvetica font and its variants originated in Switzerland.
It's one of the preferred fonts that we use on Geography Now.
Speaking of the arts, one way to learn about Switzerland is through its films. And if you want to learn more about Switzerland's films, follow my channel, Filmography Now.
Hannah has a
In any case, each canton
I wasn't aware of that. New reactions are coming from that channel.
Switzerland has its own festivals and celebrations. You have everything from the Basler Fastnacht, where people in Basel dress up in masks and throw confetti, to Spunenfest, held
So it's basically carnival.
every 12 years in the town of Interlaken, where men compete.
Oh!
There's too many festivals, we can't go through them all. Partially because we have to move on, which means you know what's coming next. The Florida man himself, Keith. We need another hurricane.
Everybody, Keith here. So today I decided to wear my bathrobe because, you know, you gotta live life comfortable. By the way, guys, you can buy a Keith shirt. Look at that design.
But I thought you was gonna say you can buy my bathrobe.
I designed it myself. Okay, so you guys think you know Swiss music and all that stuff. You probably think of, you know, yodeling, cowbells. That's...
Oh my god. I love yodeling. I don't know how you guys fucking do it, but yodeling is the shit. Oh my god, I love yodeling.
It's a good start, but let's go a little further. Many experts will agree that European alpine yodeling had its roots in Switzerland dating back to the early 1500s. The technique was used by herdsmen trying to call their livestock, or communicating far distances between villages in the mountains. Many will say that the traditional national dance music of Switzerland, though, is Lander. It uses a 3/4 time signature. Quarter note gets every single beat, whatever. This style was actually adopted by many classical composers like Beethoven, Schubert. They kind of just, you know, took it and ran with it. Okay, now let's fast forward a couple hundred years. They actually hosted and won the very first Eurovision Song Contest. Fun fact, 30 years later, they would actually win again, but with Celine Dion, even though she's Canadian. And for some reason, Tina Turner is a citizen. It has nothing to do with banks and money.
Really?
Anyway, there are tons of music festivals like Street Parade Festival, Montreux Jazz Festival, which has had such artists as Pat Metheny, Steve Morse Band. I hope to go there at some point. Goal of mine. There's even a statue of Freddie Mercury, as Queen recorded many of their top hits in the studio over there. All right, we don't have time to talk about the entire evolution of the 20th century and the
artists you guys suggested we mentioned. Bro, DJ Bobo, is that the one? Da-da-da-da-da, Chihuahua.
21st century of Swiss.
Bro, that's not even in... God, come on, that's not even Paolo Meneguzzi. I'm upset. Okay, I'm gonna end this video. Okay, I don't... Not approved! no, let's just
musicians and stuff like that. But however, what I will say is that if you like heavy metals bands, you should check out Celtic Frost, which is a great metal band.
Should I check them out?
Enjoyed my segment today. Stay Keith, everybody.
Thank you, Keith.
So something important about Switzerland is how they interact with the rest of the world.
Which brings us to the last segment, the
friend zone.
Oh, this is straight from the Zurich Techno Festival,
We have managed to actually dodge a bullet and stay neutral throughout the last century, which was a quite difficult thing to achieve.
I mean, they're so neutral that even North Korea joined the UN before them. Although you guys did host the European...
We'll host anything with diplomacy. But
hosted?
We'll also pay for it, but we don't join. Here's how they played out their diplomacy game.
In respect to their constitution and overall global reputation, Switzerland's foreign policy is to traditionally avoid alliances and work for humanitarian efforts that strive for world peace and prosperity. This is partially why they host more international...
Okay, let me try to guess. I think the best friend of Switzerland is gonna be Liechtenstein, right? If I'm not mistaken, the Liechtenstein doesn't have an army, but they do have some Swiss military guarding the place for them, or they can just call up the Swiss police or something like
organizations than any other country in the world, most heavily concentrated in Geneva. Nonetheless, with their intense history and background, there are some countries that Switzerland has to admit they have quite a closer link to, if at the very least culturally. No one likes to make fun of Germans more than the Swiss, but in reality these two are so heavily tied in, especially with the Baden-Württemberg state that borders Switzerland. The area around the town of Rottweil was part of the old Swiss Confederacy that was lost during Napoleon.
Rottweil, is that like the dog?
Like wars, and today the town has an agreement of friendship with Switzerland. Overall, South Swabian Germans and German-speaking Swiss generally understand and get each other way better than, say, a Berliner German. In that regard, Austria has traditionally been one of their biggest rivals in things like sports and outclassing each other with things like classical music, architecture, and general welfare. They both admire each other's systems of operation, and many Swiss will say that Austrians probably get them way better than the Germans. Otherwise, France pretty much has the oldest diplomatic exchange when they signed the Treaty of Perpetual Peace in 1516, and the first Swiss ambassador abroad was hosted in Paris in 1798. Today, France hosts more Swiss people in diaspora than any other country in the world at nearly 250,000, and they appreciate each other's, shall we say, bougie standards. On the other hand, Italians, mostly Lombards, have been rapidly moving into Switzerland, mostly in the Ticino canton, and are really taking advantage of that Italian-speaking official status. The Vatican City to this day still hires Swiss guards to stand at the palace, palace, a tradition that has been going on since 1506, one of the oldest military units continuously in operation in the world. They still dress in traditional Renaissance uniforms and are actually trained in combat and small arms. It's not just for show. When it comes to their best friends though, most Swiss will tell you, oh, we're neutral, we can't say we have a best friend. But after you get them a little tipsy and ask them one more time, they might make a Freudian slip and say, Little Liechtenstein.
Told you.
Little Liechtenstein go hand in hand. They are irrefutably inseparable. Liechtenstein is basically Switzerland's adorable little baby sibling about 200 years younger. They not only share currencies and speak almost the exact same German dialect, they have a customs union, open borders, and the same stance on armed neutrality, but Switzerland also agrees to protect them if anything happens, represent them in any international treaty negotiations or abroad if they are unable to, and even when Switzerland makes mistakes and does things like accidentally firing an artillery shell at a ski resort in 1968, or accidentally invades them because the soldiers couldn't read maps, Liechtenstein is just happy to see them and offers them drinks upon arrival.
All right, and in conclusion, Herman, take it away. You're the Swiss guy. I'm out.
Switzerland is a beautiful country where it's really nice to live and enjoy a nice and peaceful life, or have a nice vacation if you bring the necessary cash.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Herman, for being in this video. It was so fun filming with you. I can't believe I flew out here to just see you. Stay tuned. Syria is coming up next.
Bro, that made me want to go to Switzerland so bad. Yes. I already know that. No, I don't know it, but that's one of those places that I want to spend the rest of my life in. Maybe in 5 years' time, you know. I definitely want to do that because, yeah, I feel like maybe I don't even think that. I mean, it's more expensive, but I think the taxes are gonna be way less than here in Italy. You definitely gonna get way more for the taxes you pay than here in Italy. So yeah, this is not part of the discussion. I really enjoyed the video that we just watched together. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you're watching this video from Switzerland, please tell me where you're watching it from. And if you're not from Switzerland, just tell me whether you have visited this place or what do you think about this country. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. We'll see you in the next one.